So what are the implications of those changes? And there's a few that we've seen, and there's probably more than what I'll enumerate on this slide. But we've seen a few changes. One of them is that line of business executives are increasingly driving open banking innovation. When open banking was first put into place, particularly in a place like the UK, the government came out and mandated to the 9 largest banks in the UK, they said, you all have to open up your systems. And so initially, open banking was kind of viewed as a government compliance and regulatory compliance initiative. So the line of business executives weren't terribly interested into it. But what we've seen is an evolution towards them figuring out that there's actually a path to monetization when it comes to open banking. There's the opportunity to go out and create entirely new services for their customers. So we've seen this shift from regulatory compliance to acceptance to actually viewing it as a monetization initiative now. And so the line of business executives within the financial institutions are getting much more involved, and they're increasingly driving that level of innovation. The second implication is that, IT organizations have to be ready to securely and reliably and scalably open up these core banking systems to potentially many millions more or even tens of millions more transactions per day. So how do you do that? How do you go out there and do it in a way that's going to scale well, that's going to be reliable, that's going to have a very low degree of latency? That's a very interesting challenge for a lot of these IT organizations that are used to really these systems only being opened up to their own internal consumers rather than being opened up to others as well outside their organization. So that's potentially a significant challenge for IT. The third implication is that, going out and scaling these systems and making sure that they can process these transactions in a very low latency, very high volume environment, they require a very different architecture than what I'll call traditional integration. And so that has implications in terms of the technologies and platforms that you implement to ensure that they can scale and they can do so with very low levels of latency. The fourth thing we've seen, and this is particularly become a problem, I think, in the last 4 or 5 years, is that legacy IT skill sets have become a big bottleneck. A lot of the people that know how these core banking systems work, that know how the integration systems with these mainframe applications work, a lot of them are retiring. There's been a big brain drain in the industry. So these legacy IT skill sets will almost assuredly become even more of a bottleneck going forward. So the question is, how do you mitigate that? How do you rapidly evolve at the same pace that the industry is rapidly evolving at? And that's really the fifth implication, is that IT organizations are going to have to adapt more quickly than ever before in order to ensure that they can keep pace with the very, very rapid changes that are happening in the industry.